Many thanks for choosing us this afternoon. Scores of residents of GOMOA FETTEH within the GOMOA East District of the Central Region are scrambling for food and other essentials after traditional authorities ordered a ban on commercial activities in the area. The ban, which is to last 4 days, beginning Thursday, October 14, is to allow for the conduct of the final funeral rites of the late chief of the town, Nana Abo Iyamoa II. Trading activities are grounded as all shops in the markets remain locked. Let's take you live to GOMOA FETTEH. In fact, my colleague Manuel Kranting has been there and he's been interacting with members of the community. Manuel, if you can hear me, how serious is the situation at hand?
Well, so Aisha, I'm currently standing at the Budumburam market. Well, this place on a typical Friday would have been basking with commercial activities, with traders and, of course, patrons alike coming in here to ply, of course, their activities. Indeed, today the picture is absolutely different. Behind me, you could see a number of shops that are currently under lock and key. Indeed, this is the result and implication of that order from the GOMOA Traditional Council for all commercial activities to be suspended starting yesterday, October 14. Now, what is the effect of that particular order? As the shops are currently locked, the residents over here are now faced with the problem of finding alternative sources of food and other essentials. Now, the Budumburam community, of course, where you have the Liberia camp, is typically a touch-and-go community where you'd have people ordinarily going out in the mornings to buy food and then continuing their activities throughout the day and repeating that cycle. But because of the ban, the people are unable to find the various spots that they are able to, buy food and so on and so forth. Because, of course, they could not stock up because of the way the community in itself has been structured. We know from the GOMOA Traditional Council that there had been a prior notice that was given to the community members to stock up ahead of this particular ban. But as I just explained, that was close to impossible because, indeed, the structuring of the community would not allow for that. Now, in the past couple of hours since we got here, we've been able to speak to the Traditional Council. I must make reference to the Secretary of the Traditional Council, Nana Kwesi Dodu, who spoke to us and said that, well, based on the reports that we've been giving in the past couple of hours on the current situation of the residents here, they've had to review that particular ban and then capture what they call exempt activities. Exempt activities would typically include the sale of food, the sale of drugs at pharmacies, and so on and so forth. But that message doesn't seem to have gone down, and if you like, saturated within the communities affected. I'm talking about Budumburam, Kakraba, GOMOA FETTEH, and the adjoining communities. But I'll just move across this stretch where I see a number of taxi drivers who indeed have been here for the past 5 hours that I've been in this particular community, have been here, and they say that business is really slow because there's not so much commercial activities and there's not so much movement even within the community. And so having parked here, they have been essentially grounded. Let me just speak to them briefly. Let me cross over through this particular point and then speak to them briefly about their situation since that ban was effected yesterday. Grateful that you could speak to us on JoyNews. Say, my patron was saying that over my camera now on me. You say, on my ban commercial activities. I just say, me and Tonton, I didn't say shops in our closely. How is it affecting you?
Oh, lockdown now, Banadia, a higher power because if it's Andrea say, and so crying, you be a and talk crying a yanum, Edrian obedi diatis, I will call the next town and I say Bibisa. And the affect any person who come on by the Umberfoka. And the agent there, me I made say me yet put to Ponaso, and I'm an unti my bedroom. I say me yet me put to po because the human say a qua, a gay na and the names are over Babato. Very few cars now, so I'm Conti, Yena is here, will be crowned up with tobacco pet. Sati asintie lockdown na omode aba ne de aduane na tisa na making aduane kura enye bindi nti aha pa.
And so you're hearing him say in Chi that indeed for some of them who are the taxi drivers here, their businesses have been essentially grounded and there's not so much activity, just indicating to you the effect, if you like, impact of that ban. My boss, say you say a catcher mo say a baby banning and I say mama lockdown kakabe 4 days. Intino na almost say more may and she says and a bear lockdown a bar and I say ban mo can was them a bar. Meet me at church and mama.
Any the Omoka every day, Omoya announcement. But Omokakra and she said, Ben, a bit me I have a mouth. Because I had a my boss, I know, Obia and Pian Cobebia, and my market to find no more Juma, Obia better there for me dropping coffee. No market fit and rain, market, you know, or Nipa Baco, or baby, Alberto Beton, too, and Alberton, Jindy, and Alberton. For market, you know, high if you be on the table, a butubutuno. So, high Nina Omatutu. The activities there and Kosovo, the whole day, I'm sick 20 cities. And the poor me, Loduko Castle about me, Konami by. The high corner say the Google way. I said, Mark up Monday, Naja. You be quiet to me because of young here, we will GOMOA FETTEH. And Tinama, about some more year, Tinama, Modessa lockdown way about.
And so he's been making reference to what they as residents and indeed folks who work within the area can do for themselves. He says that they're really hands tied because there's not so much available to them to explore, because when the order came through to them, it gave indications of some semblance of unison at the helm of affairs within the area. And we've heard the secretary of the GOMOA Traditional Council make reference to a notification to the Divisional Police Command and indeed the District Chief Executive, like the District Assembly. So all of these authorities seem to have already been notified ahead of the ban. And so that leaves them with very little options. Let me speak to this man, finally, before I move to this other side, to speak to some of the women who I see now beginning to parade their wares. I see bottles of drinks and so on. We'll get to speak to them pretty shortly. My boss, so Sisiano, trouble now. Abano, Sisia Mwankasa, no more person, Umbe now, with me. I fend for myself. Send a mobile to me survive.
Oh, send I best survive. At least I'm humble. Until Oma can you be BIA? Any BBI until you're sure more.
I could see Sunday in your and Monday and Opano.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'll say this way. Any BBI. Yeah.
When lose sales, Nibi.
Sales in the Lucy. You can say you lose your boy, you lose one cassa. Tino, yeah, all right.
And you hear this man quite speaking quite agreeably, saying that, well, even though they are left with not so many options, they are content with the situation because indeed this is a cultural, if you like, a traditional ritual that's being carried out. But like I just said to you, behind me now, you're seeing a bit of, commercial activities centered on food. I see, a mini truck with some pastries on it, and then bottles of fizzy drinks also. We just cross the road to the other side and then speak to them and find out how they have come to the market and where they got the authorization to actually come to the market. And so this is indeed an extension of the market from where we started talking to you just the past couple of minutes now. And generally, the entire market seems to have died down, except for this little stretch where we're seeing a bit of activities. My boss, good afternoon. Grateful that you could speak to us. We are live on the JoyNews channel. Speak to me. You heard of this ban on commercial activities within the neighborhood, correct?
Minim bibisa no ba. I didn't say a lockdown be Uber marketer. We aduane a to bibia mo close bibia to say lockdown ni mo ntino sana me hu no
mo ofie na mo ye den na mo survive
sana yete ye ne yeto food stamp kakra edugu fie Edugu no.
See, have we staff na sana?
Assign to mabeto meat pie. Mabeto meat pie me kodi.
The meat pie now will depending on until Sunday.
Some mabeto brodo. Na me dey no drink. Okay.
And so he's just telling me that they got wind of the notice, but they stocked up a bit, but they've actually run out of the food, and so that's why he's come here to buy a meat pie. He says he's going to survive on that. If that finishes, he's going to now come back and buy bread. Let me talk to the lady who sells the meat pie herself. Madam, good afternoon. Me also wash drawer hana. Me also more other shops in now. Omni now ma close. You know saying?
Pacho, see one more muton eduane no. One more pen ebetimi. One more muton eduane. One more pen ebetimi aba. Now one more muton another thing de omuntimi ma.
If it's running now, be a my.
Pacho, if it's running now, be a ma.
I said you the phone a band sabana. Niamana muton and one more the shamun kofana.
Woman so obi akitaba obi akitankwala ofie nso abana sa no nso obi na mamra so de waka nti wuntimi enye eyintia yeso aduane na yetonti na yetima abana nka yeso yenyina obi amma mise mikitankwala tu se de meka na mikitankwala tu mama papa ni ho single mother onu na me de show mu school brofa
inti no mo bae no nyama no ko nyama na moton ne ko
yes so betina fie obi wo hono ma wo hyede mo ntimi meton ha de nso akom de na de abi nko ade oba den oba beto di.
So she's been saying and making reference to her other colleagues within the market who really have shut down their shops. I'll end with this lady who sells these bottles of fizzy drinks. Madam, also what's the show on your man? What shop no na wait here?
Me shop no ho. Andra na eja mo buy some amara bi wa ha. Intima yemba market. Eja me temi me kunafo. Me kitankola 5. Sama amba nso a nya bi nhwa nkora we mu. One nso wo se camp ma 2 months say ntu. Sama amba me nyeska en high dan. Nti eja na me buy.
Ba o buy nko photo ne ma no.
Aye be ndan. Yesin wet na fie. Nti kaka nkra be ye. Omo ba nso mo ha ya nso. Nso de ne din na e de ye because ya mba enya bindi ya mba so kwaso ye nhwe no
asafo boys no ba ebe sesa ne ma na omkofo me bi show
omo ba endra se bi mbo ba se ma ne drink se man fa ma na nya ma ba isa eja me kita nkwarante no me de ma no na eja ma me tina me ton ade.
I see. And so you heard her make reference to the reason she has come to parade her wares here. She says she has no option. She's a single mother and has kids to take care of, and so that's why she's come to the market.
Now,
she makes reference to the traditional warriors who have been taxed to, as it were, enforce.
Certainly, this is something that is uncomfortable for the people in the area. You spoke with the MCE earlier. What has he been telling you?
Well, he says he's not available to make a definitive comment just yet because at the time that engagements were going on about this particular arrangement, he says that the president's nomination had just come in and were quite busy with those details. For now, he says that he's going to engage the traditional authorities to find a way of solving the problem. Even ahead of that particular engagement, Aisha, we can confirm to you at this point that our interview with the secretary of the traditional council here in GOMOA unearthed a solution, which is an exemption for traders who sell food and other essential items, and reference is made prominently to medical items in pharmacies, in herbal shops, and so on and so forth. So for these essential services, they are exempted, but the other works, if you like, other non-essential service providers are expected to have their shops closed up until Sunday night, when the 4-day burial rites of the late Nana Abo Yamwa II would be rounded up and brought to a conclusion, Aisha.
Manuel Kranting is our man at GOMOA FETTEH. He's been bringing us sights and sounds from the people in that community, telling us how they're planning to survive for the next 4 days as they await the funeral rites of their chief. Now, a pastor's wife and mother of a transgender singer, Araba Forsing, has expressed her disgust at churches rallying behind the passage of the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values bill into law. According to her, denominations who mount opposition against LGBTQI have failed in their duty to show love as Christ instructed. For her, such churches are being judgmental and are no different from the Pharisees and Sadducees in the New Testament. Speaking with Benjamin Akakbo on Prime Morning Show, Araba Forsing explained that when Jesus Christ was alive, he showed compassion to sinners and embraced those who were condemned to their fate. Araba was in studio with a transgender child. Listen.
I see them like the Pharisees.
You see them like the Pharisees?
The Pharisees and the Sadducees. Kill him, kill them, because they couldn't do their job.
Which is what?
They said Christ came to seek and save the lost. He came for sinners, and he loves sinners. So if Christ loves sinners, where is that love for these people? If they say they are sinners, okay, Christ has given them the authority to cast out devils. And so if these people are devils, where is their authority Christ has given them? Which means they are nothing. They are not doing their work as a Christian. And they are not being able to, I don't know how to put it. They don't have that authority that Christ has given them. They don't have it. That power.
You mean they don't have the moral right to criticize?
They have no right to criticize. Because theirs is to save. Preach the gospel to save the sinner. But when someone comes to your church and you condemn the person, do you want the person to come again? No. You don't want them to come. And some of them, their parents are pastors like mine. And their parents reject them. They will insult them in the church, humiliate them. Have they come down to their level to know them? To know why they are like that? To at least share the word of God and show them love? No. But rather they are hiding behind the government, to push the government to cover their shame.
To cover their shame?
Their shame.
So
and I'm ashamed.
Their shame in the sense of?
Their shame in the sense they couldn't do what they couldn't access the power God has given them. They couldn't use that power to save the sinner.
That if you can't fit in my shoes, don't talk about me. I feel that
can't fit in my shoes, don't talk about me.
If you can't fit, if I take my shoes off, I don't think they would like to fit in my shoes for even an hour.
Right.
Because they can't fit in my shoes. So I see it as, if you can't fit in my shoe, don't judge me. Don't condemn me. You should be able to understand what I'm feeling. And I'm not the only person like this in this Ghana or in the world. There are lots of people like me going through a lot of challenges. They are going through, every time I have somebody coming to me to tell me something different. And even me, I'm breaking down already. But I have to encourage them, to give them hope, to give them life, because they feel nobody understands what is going on inside them. But I do, because I am like that. So to all the people out there judging us, thinking that we are devils, we are evil, we are outcasts, we are an abomination and other things, sit in our shoes, understand us, get close, don't judge us wrongly, because it's no fault of ours. So it's no fault of ours. We didn't create ourselves. Look, sometimes I see my brother and I cry. I see him and I cry because he has 2 kids. I see them coming every day and it hurts me because I can't do that. I can't be like him. You think I don't shed tears? Or you think I'm not hurt with the way I am? You think I'm not hurt with how different I look? You think it's my will? You think it's my wish to look like this? You think I'll not be happy to look like any other man on the street? You think that I'm intentionally doing this? No, I'm not. I've fought it. I've fought this for years.
Like your mom said, 10, 15 years.
And I feel that this is it. I am done.
The minority leadership says provisions contained in Article 108 of the 1992 Constitution cannot stand in the way of consideration and passage of the Proper Sexuality and Family Bill 2021. The group says the admission of the bill by the Speaker of Parliament dismisses concerns raised by the majority leader. Addressing a news conference in Parliament today, the minority leader Haruna Idrisu said the leadership remains supportive of the bill and will ensure swift passage. He wants the 275 MPs to demonstrate their rejection of the LGBTQ by voting for the bill.
We must all endeavor to ensure, as I said, and preserve the sanctity of Ghanaian family values, to keep the unity, the cohesion and the stability of our society, and more importantly, the continuity of that particular society. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, the collective morality and natural order of things rests on the hands of Ghana's 275 parliamentarians, majority and minority, so that when we pass this anti-LGBTQI bill and all the righteousness it represents, men will say 1,000 years from today that this was our finest hour in every sense of that expression. And we want to be recognized historically as belonging to this category of persons. Indeed, I've heard arguments about the remit and context of Article 108 of the Constitution. I look forward to addressing a joint press conference with my colleague, the majority leader, because we only can build consensus on one matter. We only can build consensus on one irresistible fact, that we stand opposed to the introduction, formalization, and legalization of LGBTQI rights in Ghana. Article 108, for those of you who want me to quote, Parliament shall not, unless the bill is introduced or the motion is introduced by or on behalf of the President. We've gone beyond this. The bill has been introduced and the bill has been referred accordingly to a committee of Parliament in accordance with this Constitution and our standing orders. And those of you who are familiar with lawmaking, may I refer to my standing orders. It does not mean that Speaker Alban Sumana Bakben will reduce himself when we get to the nitty-gritty of the consideration stage of the bill in accordance with the standing orders of the Parliament of Ghana. Be assured, we in the minority will insist a clause-by-clause vote on every word, every accompanying sentence. We will insist on a vote, including amendment to any provision. We are saying that when it comes to the important subject of the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021, we will do what is legally needful within the 1992 Constitution.
And as we wait for Parliament to deliberate on the Proper Sexuality and Family Bill 2021, we are this afternoon getting into the minds of people in our communities on what they think about the bill. We will be crossing live to speak with our correspondents across the country. But first, Edem Senano is Management and Development Consultant and co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. He joins us via Zoom on this discussion. Edem, I'm grateful for your time. Now, a few days ago, we shared how content from foreign media has the tendency of influencing our children. You have concerns about the gay community telling it to our faces that they're coming all out for the children. What are those concerns?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is very easy for us as a society to assume that the incidence of homosexuality and the current events where an LGBTQI plus rights office was opened are isolated events, one-offs. But if you look at the trajectory from 2019 to date, you would recognize an increasing tempo in terms of first comprehensive sexuality education, which was October 2019, where they say children have the right to explore their sexuality from age 4. And then by July 2020, we had the Sankofa conference that they attempted hosting here. Till now, you have the January opening of the office supported by the EU ambassador, etc. You can clearly discern that there is intentionality. Somebody has a plan to influence or impact our nation with more content on LGBTQIA plus rights and practices. And listening to a song by the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir, where they say we are coming after your children, it doesn't matter what you do. It's just chilling, absolutely chilling. And it tells us that we need to be more organized and more understanding that, look, there is a group that has an agenda, and we need to take this particular issue more seriously than many may have taken it so far.
Now, looking at the people who have also come against this bill, very powerful people in society, and you and I agree that the battle we are fighting is a difficult one. How do you advise that we go about this? What should be our guide?
Well, I mean, it's interesting to note that the learned, renowned people who've spoken against this generally have tended to be a small group of human rights lobbyists or activists, whichever word you want to choose. And human rights is just one area of knowledge. I have said over and over again that it surprises me that they did not choose a multidisciplinary group to have this discussion with. Because those in science, the medicines, the health experts, those who on a daily basis see the impact and ramifications of the practice. And many of us are saying that this is not a fundamental human right. The minute you accept this as a fundamental human right, the scope of what rights include would have been expanded to cover almost every imaginary notion of I have a right to do this and my practice is that, and whether it is marijuana smoking or crack or armed robbery, all of that will become part of the rights thing. When we say fundamental human rights, these must be things that collectively across humanity we all sharing. We all share in the belief that this is something we are entitled to, this is something we're born with. The issue of homosexuality is not something that humanity shares with. Otherwise, you would not find 93% of the population saying we won't have to have nothing to do with it. It tells you that we don't share in this as a right. It is not fundamental, but it is a practice. I think that the way to look at it is that there are several other fields of expertise and knowledge that do not, as it were, align with the fact that this is a right. Science doesn't. The medical people won't, the psychologists won't, the genetics people won't, the economics people won't, because again, from the assessments we've done from economic impact, it's a negative, negative, negative. Add to that the fact that good law actually emanates from what the societal ethos is. So what do the people believe? So let's ask Ghanaians, do you believe that this is something that should become a law or not? If the majority of Ghanaians say no, and we are in a majority democratic state, that is what it shall be. So for me, I think it's a clear-cut issue. Go back to the Ghanaian people, ask them what it is, let them establish what they want. At the same time, take on board the minority concerns, because you don't want a society where minorities and their concerns are not dealt with. If there are specific concerns, let's deal with them and ensure that whatever law we pass has ensured that they are also protected to the extent that it doesn't infringe on the rights of others.
I'm happy that you talk about going back to the people in our communities to ask them, because that's what we'll be doing this afternoon. But also the people that are representing these people in the communities in Parliament, we've not heard much from them, because finally they will be working on the bill. Aside the proponents of this bill, we've not heard much from members of Parliament. I mean, as they begin to deliberate and work on the bill, what are your expectations, Mr. Senano?
Well, there's been a call that this must be done in the full glare of the public. I subscribe to that. The passions and emotions are very high on this issue, and Ghanaians want to know that nothing funny happened there. So let's make sure that the cameras are there so that the deliberations are fully covered. That's one. Two, we would expect that there'll be no secret balloting. If it comes to voting on issues, make sure that it is open. So all of us know, if my parliamentarian went and voted one way, I know where I'm voting next time, whether he's staying in Parliament or not. We want open ballots. We also want to make sure that the memos and comments that have coming, there's a part of the deliberation that shows how they pull together the content from those memos, structured it, and infuse it. I don't doubt that there will be some changes to this law in terms of the wording, in terms of probably the sentencing policy to be more reformative, etc. But it should be a journey that Parliament seeks to carry along the entire populace, so that at the end of the day, as a country, we can say that we did what was right for this generation and for generations to come.
I'm grateful for your time. Edem Senano is chairman for Advocates for Christ Ghana. He's also co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Now, let's get into our communities and see what goes through their mind as far as this bill is concerned. Erastus Asaridonko joins us from the Ashanti region. Martina Bugri will join us from the northern region. Elias Utanko is our correspondent from the northeast region. Anna Sabit is from the Bono East region. And Rafiq Salam joins us from the Upper West region. We'll start from the Ashanti region and speak with Erastus Asaridonko. Erastus, generally, what has been the response to the debate on the Proper Sexuality and Family Bill 2021 in the Ashanti region?
Well, thank you. I must say that the discussion has been rife on many radio stations in Kumasi, for example, for the past 2 weeks. People have been talking about it, sharing their views passionately about this issue. From what I gather from the discussions, it looks like not many people know exactly what is contained in the bill. Many people are rather concerned about the general view of LGBTQI people, and to them, it's a no-no. There is no compromise on it. They will never accept these people, and it's a practice that would never be accepted in the society. But there are many people who also agree, and if you monitor what happened on, for example, on Love FM in Kumasi, where listeners called in, they are saying that, yes, we will not go attacking anybody. We will not subscribe to people that go and lynch or perhaps attack or assault people who are found to be gay. But then it is not a practice that we'll ever accept in our society. And so if there is a bill that seeks to prevent that, then they are all for it. That has been the general discussion on the various quarters in the Ashanti region.
And in all of this, I'm sure they have specific expectations of their members of parliament who will finally sit on this bill. What are those expectations?
Exactly. And for example, some callers who called into the program yesterday wanted, just like Mr. Senanu said, they want an open voting. They seriously want to know who voted for what. And they want to know what the views of their MPs are. There are some who were expressing the view that they are not hearing from the majority side, for example, want to decouple from the usual NPP-NDC banter. It is something that they want a dispassionate view and voting on, because it's something that the Muslims will not accept it, Christians will not accept it, even pagans will not accept it, the traditional authorities do not accept it, and so will never happen within their lifetime. They don't want their children to also participate. But they also admit that the practice has been here for some time. There are people within our midst, especially in the Ashanti region. There have been some cases where people have gotten married on the blind side of people as gay or lesbians within the Kumasi and its environs. And so they admit that, yes, the practice has been here. If there is some help for such people, they believe that it should be given, but it's something that will never be accepted within the Ghanaian society.
Let's talk to Anas. Anas, is the story different from the Bono East? Anas Sabit.
Hello?
Yes, Anas. I'm asking if the story is different from the Bono East region.
This is not Anas, but rather Rafiq Salam.
All right. Rafiq Salam joins us from the Upper West region. Rafiq, what can you tell us from where you are? How are people responding to this whole debate about LGBTQI+?
In the Upper West region, there is no middle line. They are saying no to the practice, and they won't support anybody who is involved in such an act. I remember some few months ago, the overlord of the Wallet Personal area, now facilitated Pelpo the Fourth, has been meeting the religious leaders in the municipality, and they've been talking about strategy on how to deal with these issues of LGBTQ plus in the one municipality, because they realize that some youth in the town have taken to it, and they are saying that they won't allow such practice to happen in the one municipality. Remember, majority of the people here are a Muslim predominant community, and they will not allow such an act to happen in the region. Some few months ago, there were pictures and videos of some youth in the town on social media involved in that act. And so even a committee was set up to look into those issues. And even there are some people who are saying that, or even going around the community looking for such people, and they are saying that should they get into contact with them, they are going to beat them mercilessly. But the overlord of the Wallet Personal area has spoken to these religious leaders, and so as part of their sermons, whatever Friday or whatever they meet people, these religious leaders have been tasked to speak about this issue of this, the disadvantages, or also how they frown on that practice, so that it will go to the people, so that they will not stick to it. And so that's the situation in the one municipality.
Rafiq, specifically, what do people that you speak to want to see happen in Parliament when the bill, when they start deliberating on the bill?
The people, for them, they think that the law should be quickly passed because they think that lots of young men and young women in the community are involved in that act. And so for them, they think that the religious leaders that they want to have spoken to about, at least once they do their sermons, once they do the preaching, it will change a lot in the community once they wait for Parliament to pass such a bill. And so that's why I told you that even committees have been formed. There have been young men and women who have formed a committee of a sort trying to look into these issues. And I remember some few months ago, one guy who was alleged to have been involved in the act was beaten mercilessly on this particular issue. And so they are not going to tolerate that in the one municipality because they think that both Christians and Muslims are frown on it, and they will not allow such practice to happen in the one municipality or the Upper West region.
Well, in the northern region, Martina Bugri is our woman there. Martina, what's the story of Tamale? What do people think about this bill? I mean, What do they think?
I guess my other colleagues have already said most of what people think in the region. They think alike. They think that the MPs should not have a problem passing this bill because they believe that most Ghanaians do not agree that LGBTIQ should be it's not something African, it's not something Ghanaian, and it's not something Northern at all. Residents who are largely Muslims believe that it is against their faith. And when they open phone lines on radio stations, you hear the comments, the anger, the passion people speak against it. It tells you that the people in the region are against it. Now, in 2013, a family, somebody suspected to be a gay family was attacked because they had issues with that. And so it tells you that for the people of the northern region, it is a no-go area subject. And so they think that their MPs from the region here should vote for the bill, and they expect that any MP who does not vote for the bill definitely hasn't got a chance to go back to Parliament. And so they think that, yes, it is something that their MPs should vote.
Thankfully, we've had some assurances from some of the MPs. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu has been speaking on that matter. But listen to what the Majority Leader had to say when Evans Mensah caught up with him.
Ghanaians have our own unique upbringing, our own set of values. You know what is right and what is wrong. We distinguish what is right from what is wrong. So we know what is right by our own upbringing. I belong to the Assemblies of God Church. I'm a Christian. I will not pretend that my upbringing has not been impacted by Christianity. Equally so for my colleagues who are Muslims. They come from various ethnic backgrounds and brought up traditionally and culturally within the context of Ghanaian upbringing. So we know what is right and we know what is wrong. And I'm not too sure that I know of any ethnic group in this country that applauds what discussion is going on. But unfortunately, we are introducing into this discourse emotions and sentiments, which I think is very much unnecessary, with all the threats that are being poured into the arena.
Which threats?
Oh, people saying that we'll chase members of parliament with buttons and cudgels if they don't pass this law and so on. I think
vote you out?
It's not necessary. Is it the case that, and people, somebody was even saying that, oh, we should telecast the discourse so people get to know who will be voting against what and so on. It means, you see, the people, some of them, they're not even following the conduct of business in Parliament. There's never been an occasion when in the consideration of any bill, we've shrouded it in secrecy. Everything is done in the open.
Let's now get to Ilyasu Tanko. He is in the Northeast region. Ilyasu Tanko, what's the story from your region?
Well, we have gotten some responses from some traditional leaders and also from religious leaders as well. Today, I monitored in some mosques. There were some prayers against the activities of these LGBT. And there were prayers, there were supplications against the activities in the country. And over the weekend, some churches have also been offering special prayers against the LGBTs and the activities in the country. And so, some of the traditional leaders are also beginning to tell their people, because apparently most people are not aware or they do not understand the context of this bill, and all that they know is the general view about the activities of the LGBTs. But they do not, most of them do not even know, they have not read the bill and they do not understand the content of the bill. But all that they care is that they want, at the end of the day, this bill will be passed immediately, banning the activities of the LGBTs. And so in the Northeast region, people, because of slow information, the reach of information is very slow, especially in communities where most communities do not have electricity, and people don't get to watch the news and don't have radio stations. And so, but the few that have been calling in radio stations are really, they really want the MPs to immediately pass this particular bill.
All right, Anna Sabit has also joined us back in the Bono East region. Anna Sabit, you've been interacting with people in your region. What do they think? Or do they think differently from all the other regions? Anna Sabit, unmute for me. All right, so we're having a challenge with Anna Sabit, but if you just joined us, we're having a conversation about the LGBTQI plus debate, and we're looking at the bill before Parliament. You've heard the minority leader says, speaking to issues raised by the communities or society, and he says Parliament will do the needful in passing that bill. You've also heard from the majority leader, who's been talking about everything that the MPs will be doing will be in public for everybody to get to know what really happened or what went into that bill. We've been trying to gauge the mood in our communities. And in fact, we've gone to the Ashanti region, we've gone to the Upper West region, we've gone to the Northeast region, we've gone to the Northern region, trying to understand what people think about this whole bill. And you heard their correspondent expressing what people in that region are thinking about the bill. We'll take a break on the pulse, but remember you can join the conversation via all our social media handles. You can tweet at us with the hashtag the pulse. When we return from the break, we are looking at increase in fuel prices at our pumps beginning tomorrow, and we want to gauge the mood of the public. Are you prepared for this? What does this even mean for the ordinary Ghanaian? Stay with me. Welcome back to The Pulse. We are live from our studios in Kokomlemle. We're also live on all our social media handles at JoyNews on TV. Tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is at Danana Aisha. In a matter of hours, fuel prices will go up at the pumps by as much as 7%. It is the latest effect in the rally of the commodity on the international market as most economies recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. There's a rush to the pumps by consumers in Ghana to try and minimize the impact of the hikes on them. We'll shortly speak to a policy analyst on this matter. Right now, though, let's bring you Manuel Cranston's interaction with some consumers of petrol and diesel.
Manuel, fill us in on what exactly it is you've noticed since you've been to the filling station today.
So MFR, you can see the activity behind me. Quite a number of vehicles are trooping in here to get their tanks filled. Indeed, from off-air interactions that I've had with them, the price have been consistently in the past couple of weeks been rising, and the attendant here just told me that just at the start of this week, the liter was going for 6 cedis, 50 pesos. Today is at 6 cedis, 52 pesos. And with the announcement of a possible increment by the weekend, indeed there are concerns about this this price quotation actually even moving further from where it is now. I'll try and just move briefly and speak to a few of the customers here who really have, I've had the cause to, complain about the prices. My boss, briefly, good afternoon. You're live on the Pulse on the JoyNews channel. Grateful, I see that you're rushing here trying to fill your tank. Have you heard of the impending, fuel price hikes?
Yeah. I read about it. I was told there is a 7% increment, and this is what we expected. This is not what we were expecting from the president and the vice president. They told us everything is going to be as we think is going to be. I don't know what is happening now. You know, every single second before you hear they are going to tell you we are increasing your fuel and then the taxes. I don't know what they are doing. Mr. President need to do something about it. You understand me? This is all I can say for now. You understand me?
And so, MFI, you heard him there. He's one of the concerned, of course, patrons here. I'll try and speak to the attendants and speak to even some more people who are buying this afternoon. Grateful, sir, if you could speak to us just briefly. We see these folks, you get the sense that they buy in bits from different stations. My boss, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
What's your name?
My name is Abdul Karim Mahmoud.
Abdul Karim, tell me, what is the situation with your fuel prices?
We say we cannot say anything. It has already been increased, so there's nothing we can do.
But catch me, they be a mokotwa price no increase and I confirm. And I stable.
Stable.
Okay. For how long they?
Like I say, for about 2 weeks now. It's normal, but for today I don't know.
For today you don't know.
Yeah.
But I say by Saturday now I increase it by 7%. What you know?
I know that I'm Shadan.
The price increase by 7%. A bit affected.
So increase the a bit affected, especially we so Okada no be affected.
How?
Uto be 20 cities. At first 20 cities it lasts from morning to around, let me say, 4. But now if you buy 20 cities from here to Mamobi, unless you come and buy a new one. So at least always your tank has to be full.
You say what? You talk something, I won't hear you.
I said, look at petrol intensity. It's too high. Therefore, reduce the petrol for us. We don't know what is going on.
So this one be how much?
10 cities with that. Look, like pure water. But we pray for God. Maybe God help them to make them see what is going on to the country to help the country.
They say by Saturday now it go up again by 7%. That one how you go do them?
We can't talk. If you talk, our talk is not a right way for them. So what they want is what they're doing.
So what do they want to make the government do help you?
The government for what is right. The government for what is right to do right.
Let's speak now to the two experts. Duncan Amwa is Executive Secretary of COPEC and Peter Tepe is a policy analyst. Let me start with you, Duncan. Duncan, you've been monitoring the space on behalf of consumers. What are we likely to experience beyond the current hikes?
So like you indeed put out, the numbers we are getting with the BDC quotations and the numbers that our in-house calculations could arrive at, petrol could go up by at least 32 pesos tomorrow. Diesel could do about 30 pesos. That is plus or minus the possibility of the cedi's depreciation being added. And that is why we have seen in other quarters 40 pesos projection being put out there. And so if all things are to go according to the output figures we are seeing, Ghanaians could be likely paying about 60, 82, anything between
This is therefore no time to waste.
60, 90.
Go ahead, Ms. Amma.
Liter for every petrol. Yeah. So.
Hello, Mr. Duncan Amwa. All right, so we'll try and get Duncan Amwa because he's trying to break it down for us to understand what exactly. All right, Mr. Amwa, you are back. Go ahead for me. Okay, so there's a terrible connection there with Duncan Amwa's line. He will try and explain to us what to expect when he gets to the pump tomorrow. But Peter is also there. Peter, what do you see from the policy point of view?
Thank you very much. Indeed, the issue of fuel price increases has been with us for a very long time. unfortunately, politics has taken over, and as a result, many people do not understand what contribute to the price increases in the petrol prices at the pumps. If you look at the price buildup of the fuel component, it is actually seen that there are other factors that we don't have control over. Factors of inflation, depreciation of the currency, prices of the world in the world market. These are issues that we don't have control over. Unfortunately, we have played politics with it over the years, and as a result, many people, many consumers who even go to the pumps to buy fuel find it difficult to even determine the quantity or the amount of fuel that goes into their tanks. Government over the years has been subsidizing until the deregulation came into being. And the deregulation came into being because of the debt that has piled up that government is not able to pay for the subsidy that it offers. Now, we have come to a situation where government must be very fair and let the people know, the Ghanaian know, what actually contributes to the price increases at the pumps. When this is clearly known and politics is taken out of it, then we'll be able to better appreciate when prices are increasing or prices are going down. What is affecting us now is that everybody wakes up and then they say we are increasing, prices are going up. Nobody comes and actually tells us what is going to contribute to the price increases. So today we are saying that by Saturday prices are going to increase, but nobody is explained to as to what is going to cause the increases. But we all wake up to it because it's a necessary evil. Cars must move. You can't take out of your way because you need it to be able to move around. The vehicles must move, and it is used for other purposes as well. And so it is actually a cause for concern for everybody. And government must move away from the politics of the fuel prices and actually leave it into the hands of the expert, so that when there is going to be an increase or there's going to be any change, the expert will come out to explain to the populace what is driving that. Then we will appreciate the reason why prices goes up or prices go down. Other than that, we will be only getting up and hearing that prices have changed at the pumps.
Duncan Amoah is back, thankfully. Duncan Amoah, you were earlier making the point as to what to expect when we get to the pumps tomorrow. Tell me more about that. Hello, Duncan Amoah. Okay, so Duncan Amoah is not back yet, but Peter is still on.
Yes, I am actually here.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Right. So you didn't finish making that point before we lost you. So I just want you to wrap it up for me.
Sure. What is likely to happen tomorrow and the days thereafter is a minimum of 30 pesos that could move pump prices, at least for the oil majors, from about 6 52 pesos to around 6 82. Anything between 6 80, 6 90 for both petrol and diesel is to be expected. LPG gas is also going up by at least 40 pesos per kilogram. In some calculations, we've seen about 50 pesos also being discussed. So LPG could now cross the 7 cedi 50 mark, also approaching 8 cedis per kilogram. These are difficult times that requires management. Unfortunately, the finance minister that we would have wished to hear from around this time has not uttered a word. We have sent a memo to the ministry indicating what could be done to at least stabilize prices for Ghanaians. What we have heard so far is attempts by the president, who is obviously concerned about the rising cost of fuel at the pumps, to try to do something. But Aisha, I dare say that the 16 pesos stabilization and recovery mitigation is not going to solve the problem. There have been a pack load of taxes on the fuel price buildup. Recently, we've added again energy sector levy of 20 pesos. We've added sanitation and pollution levy of 10 pesos. Bus margins have gone up from the 3 pesos to now 9 pesos. You also have special petroleum tax, which was added some time ago when crude prices were lower, also still being charged. Once you keep these taxes at their optimal levels as they are today, if you go ahead to reduce stabilization of 16 pesos, you would still have a variance of at least 26 pesos, even if the stabilization and recovery was to be taken out today. So we are insisting that the 2022 budget yet to be read should factor these things. I do not think that there's anything currently of concern to many Ghanaians than the rising cost of fuel at the pumps. And that is why we insist Mr. President must step in again to indicate some of these taxes that we have packed on the price build-up to be taken off. I have also heard the Honorable Kweku Kwarteng yesterday on one of your programs suggesting that even the stabilization that we are taking off would have to be paid for by Ghanaians at some point. Let me remind him that the stabilization is not, sorry to say, a revenue stream for government. We are supposed to have contributed that into a fund so that in times like these when world market prices are soaring, we could have a buffer fund that comes in to also help all of us. Unfortunately, whatever has been contributed, the only excuse you get is that it's being used for premix. I do not think that all of us contributed 16 pesos simply to subsidize for premix. Whatever we needed to have used stabilization for, we are not using it. So that cannot be a revenue stream for government. What is, however, revenue stream for government is what you will call the VAT on petrol, which is the special petroleum tax of 46 pesos. We do think that because Ghana produces oil, $84 per barrel today is positive, because I have indicated that if Ghana produces every 1 million barrels and world market price is at $50 a barrel, what it means is that Ghana will get $50 million, right? Mm-hmm. If it goes to $60 a barrel, Ghana will realize $60 million. If it goes to 70, you will get $70 million. If it goes to 80, you will get $80 million instead of the 50 that you originally were getting. So crude prices going up is somehow positive for the Ghanaian economy also. Sadly, when it goes up and we get more from our crude exports, we refuse to reduce the taxes that we have already added onto the local pump prices. And that is what is leading to all the difficulties and the mishappenings within the system. If we don't take out these taxes now, I am afraid before November we'll get one, and we would have crossed the 7 cedi mark, and I'm sure Christmas will be a very difficult time for everybody in the country because the cost of goods and services is rising by the day. Transport operators, I'm sure you've spoken to them widely, are already demanding for 20% increment in transport fares. And we do think that this is the time that the finance ministry must demonstrate a certain tenacity for wanting to manage fuel prices for Ghanaians. Anything other than this, I am afraid would simply be overcharging Ghanaians at the pumps at a time when government is making additional revenue from our crude exports. We are also optimizing all the taxes, and even the discussion of taking out stabilization is now being seen as a revenue that government will lose. We beg to differ. We need to manage at this point.
What we can do to control what happens on the international market? How can we handle the situation?
You see, Aisha, the three key components that lead to pump prices being what they are. One, the international market price, IMP, or what you call ex-refinery. Government of Ghana has no control whatsoever. In fact, we are just a tiny country as far as, crude prices and price movement and geopolitical actions that would determine whether prices go up or come down. We are just a small, player in there. So we don't determine international market prices. No, neither for crude nor the finished product. The second key thing is that you go to buy the product in dollar. Now, when you get back to Ghana, you can't trade in dollar because the legal tender here is the cedi. So the conversion or the exchange rate becomes also critical. And so the cedi dollar interaction would also have to be factored into how much you pay for at the pump. That second factor, the BOG has some control, partial control, how much the cedis appreciate or depreciate. It's a function of how much of the dollars they also have that they can use to subsidize the system. The third and most critical factor now is the taxes. Government has 100% control of the taxes. So whilst you can't control international market prices because you don't decide them, whilst you can partially control the cedi's stability or otherwise, you have full control over the taxes. As we speak, the taxes alone constitute, taxes, levies, and margins, alone constitute 47% of how much we pay at the pump. So at 30 cedis a gallon, you are contributing almost 14 cedis, 50 pesos worth every gallon for taxes, levies, and margins. We are saying if you took out 2-3 cedis at this point, you could stabilize prices at 27, plus or minus, give or take, even 28. Ghanaians could manage and enjoy their Christmas. As and when fuel prices begin to decelerate, somewhere later next year, January, February, or even March, we can now have a discussion about reinforcing the taxes that we took off. But if we don't decide now to do anything about these taxes, transport fares will go up, cost of goods and services will go up. And as you know, Aisha, once these things go up, they never come down again. And so even when international market prices decelerate later next year, we will still be paying very, very high prices for goods and services within the country, simply because we were caught ball watching, we sat aloof, made excuses, and told the Ghanaian that any attempt to take off taxes will mean government revenue will be limited. Government, I must point out, at this point, is raking in excess revenue for our crude exports, simply because what you budgeted for 2021, $57.8, right? The moment it goes to $60, you are over-recovering. The moment it gets to 70, you are making a windfall. At over 80, you are making double a windfall that you would have probably not expected at the beginning of the year when crude prices were hovering around 48, 50, 52. Now you are at 84 and it's still rising, getting to 85, 86, and we are still charging all taxes in the name of revenue. Aisha, we beg to differ. It's getting to a difficult point. I do not think that authorities would wish for things to get really bad for everybody for Christmas before they come in to do anything about these prices that we are seeing at the pump. Tomorrow it will rise. Again, if you are not lucky, by the 1st of November, it would rise again because international market prices for both the finished products, both petrol and diesel, they are still rising. Some have crossed 700, 800, they are still rising. So by the next 1 or 2 weeks, we would come back to have this discussion again because we are not out of the woods yet. The only thing we exercise absolute control over is the taxes. And that is exactly what we are hoping the finance minister at this point will be concerned to want to ease down on these taxes so that Ghanaians could at least for the next 2-3 months get a bit of a relief from these incessant increases that we are seeing at the pump. Aisha.
Peter Sekwe, let me bring you in here. I mean, in terms of policy, what do you expect to see? Because, of course, Duncan Amoah has explained to us why we do not have control over international market, but we can also ensure that we do a lot of things here to cushion it when the prices go up. What do you expect to see from the policy angle?
The issue of price increases will be with us for a long time, and it is not going to change for the better. The reason is that we heavily depend on import. We are not refining crude that will meet the demand of consumption. you have BDCs who are in business. He imports at his margin, different from the price composition that has the taxes and other things on it. You import, and because you need foreign currency to be able to buy, what it means is that whilst you are importing, and then you are selling in Ghana cedis, and when you sell in Ghana cedis, you have to go back to the banks and then buy dollars and then pay for the importation of the refined product. We are going to continue to go to the pumps and prices are going to be rising. The reason is that we are not refining anything in country that will meet the demand. Now, if assuming TOR is refining, what it means is that everybody who goes to buy from TOR will have to look for Ghana cedis to buy, because of course TOR will import, but when they import crude and they're able to refine, then selling to the populace, everybody now goes to be able to go to TOR. When many people are able to go to TOR to buy in cities, what it means is that there will be less pressure on the currency. Once there's less pressure on the currency, it means that importation of refined product will also reduce. Once importation on refined product reduces, what it means is that one aspect or one component which causes the increment in the price has been taken care of or has been managed in a way, because the pressure on going to buy dollars to buy and import will reduce. Until we start looking at how to position TOR strategically to be able to complement the importation of the refined product, prices will continue to increase at the pumps. And so it is up to government to decide what then do we do going forward. Because once you are importing and government is not able to import to meet the demand, and it is being imported by private businesses, definitely they are in business to make money. And these are the reasons why we are not going to get it better in the coming days. So everybody knows that once the cedi is depreciating, of course, the prices at the pumps will increase, because once prices at the world market is increasing, they are going to import. That is what is going to happen. Now, those who are also refining in the countries where we are buying from, what it means is that now, because of COVID, logistics mobilization, supply chain has been affected. So prices of goods and services are increasing everywhere now. What it means is that production costs is increased, will also increase. Material costs will also increase. So once you are depending on increasing, once you are depending on importing more, definitely the last person who is a consumer will be, all the costs will be passed on to the consumer, and the consumer will be the one who will be suffering. And so once we are in this situation, we need to have a permanent solution to these fuel price increases going forward. Other than that, it's going to be worse off because of the deregulation, in the sense that every pump has their own prices. And so government policy in ensuring that we reduce the refined product importation should be the focus, so that it will complement the effort of affecting the economy into this direction that we are in now.
I'm grateful for your time. Peter Sekpe is policy analyst. Duncan Amwa is with COPEC. Now, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Henry Korte, has charged the newly sworn-in metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives from the various assemblies within the region to work without compromise. According to Section 21 of the Local Government Act, Act 936/26 of the 29 MMDCEs nominated by the President of the Republic, Nana Akufo-Addo, were sworn into office earlier this afternoon. The minister admonished the elected officials to work tirelessly and admonished them to represent the interests of the people and the President. He spoke at the swearing-in ceremony earlier today.
This is therefore no time to waste. And I repeat, there is no time to waste. Your work starts immediately you leave here, and you must learn the rudiments of the job by reading and understanding all the relevant acts and model standing orders to appreciate what is at stake. MMDCs, NKNYOMO, the job day ground. Don't go and sit relaxed in your offices. It is no more business as usual. And we at the RCC shall deploy all the monitoring tools to ensure that you perform your mandated duties without fail. Honorable MMDCs, I wish to remind you of your duties as representatives of His Excellency the President and the central government in your respective jurisdictions as metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives, as stipulated in Section 21 of the Local Governance Act at 936. Above all, let me remind you to be guided by other rules, regulations, and procedures in all your dealings with the people and in the performance of your duties. Good governance is about modesty, openness, accessibility, accountability to our citizens. You are taking office at a very crucial time when the development challenges facing us as a country, especially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Finally, I wish to congratulate you on your appointment and do hope that with the support of the Regional Coordinating Council, you would measure up to the task ahead of you. I wish you the best of luck.
Local Government Minister Dan Botwe charged the newly sworn-in chief executives to abide by the guiding principles prescribed in the Constitution. He asked that his ministry will be intolerant to MMDCEs who circumvent the principles of their office for their personal gain.
We are going to ensure that what the law says, all of us, we shall obey the law. Nimename, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the next 10 days or 11 days, there will be an orientation for MMDCs. Mr. President will address them. After that, there will be training workshops. So we are not going to say a lot here, but let me say that it's so clear the role of the Regional Coordinating Council. And that's why I'm so happy the Regional Minister says they are going to monitor. And we are also going to do the same. The functions of the District Assembly is so clearly stated in the law. In Section 12 of Local Governance Act, function of District Assembly is very well stated. The functions of the DCE is very well stated. There are so many functions of the Assembly, planning functions, and that they should always liaise with their chiefs and the stakeholders. And this should happen. Actually, all of our Assembly members, you know it's in the law that before you attend Assembly meeting, you should have consulted the people in your electoral area before you attend Assembly meeting. And after each Assembly meeting, you should go back and tell them what transpired. It's in the law. It's in the law. The FDCs are described as chief representative of central government. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to assure you that the ministry will ensure that whatever is in Act 936, it will function. We are in Greater Accra on the 12th of October, 3 days ago. Flooding in some areas. I watched television, and a young lady was calling on Mr. President. Why should there be flooding in an electoral area, in a district, and they are not calling on the district chief executive, but they are calling on Mr. President? And the MDC says he's the chief representative of the president there. If that is the case, you should be the first point of call. We all talk. Permits are given. The law says clearly there's a planning authority. And I want to assure you, I don't want to play to the gallery because we are going to meet them. But it can never be the case that an assembly will issue a permit for people to build in waterways and turn around to go back and pretend as if they are not aware. It will not happen again. It cannot continue to happen.
Residents living within the Sempe, Owusu and San Moshizongo communities in the Ashanti region are hardest hit by flooding that washed away one side of the approaches, filling of the only bridge connecting the two areas. The sub-chief of Sempe, Owusu and San, another part, fears the situation could wane the academic potentials of the children as they either go to school late or stay at home after every downpour. Residents want the bridge to be fixed to curb the situation. JoyNews' Mahmoud Muhammad Nuruddin has more.
That has been the nature of the bridge right from the beginning. It is too small that it can't contain all running water when it rains. Therefore, the water overflows into people's houses.
Narrow gully but now turned into large and deep one. Life becomes miserable here whenever there is torrential rain. This bridge was constructed about 10 years ago to help residents cross each side of the communities. Initially, residents used this bridge to each side of the community, but now one side of the approach's filling has been washed away, so no resident can cross to each side of the community when it rains.
When it rains, our children can't go to school and we can't also cross to the other side. We want the government to take a second look at the bridge and reconstruct.
Located between Sepebokrom and Mosizongo, it poses danger to both children and adults. Several children living within the Owusu and San Mosizongo communities bear the brunt as they struggle to go to school anytime it rains.
As you can see, when we experience a downpour, flooding always takes place, which in fact it distracts our attendance of schools. And the water too, as you know, the water is a water of river, so when the water is flowing, it is contaminated. We can't pass through the water. In fact, if you joke, it will even take you away.
And it affected us if we are coming to school. Sometimes, if it rains, it will be flooded. You cannot pass unless we went another way before we can go and cross it.
The situation is affecting the academic activities of school children. They lament that some of their mates have dropped out of school.
Some drop out from school due to the water. You miss a lesson when you come late, and also being absent from school also it's not necessary. Because of this bridge, I have experienced that most of our students have stopped attending this school and they've dropped out to different schools because of being absenteeism and the rest, and the destruction of the water.
According to residents, about 3 people have lost their lives to severe floods.
It has even happened before, about 2 or 3 times. It always occurs whenever it rains heavily.
Sometimes after saying so, sometimes last time crab baby a penny for 3 days and then soon Mohania to Subasa.
Nana Dapa is the sub-chief of Sepe Owusu and San.
This is now a death trap to children and even adults.
We'll take a break on the Pulse, and we'll bring you the very latest from the world of sports. To stay tuned.
Look at this one. The young man just hit it right.
So I'm here at the Accra Hearts of Oak Hotel just to talk to
a few of the players as we look forward to the all-important game against WAC in the CAF Champions League. They've been doing very well. They've been training so hard. You'll see some of the training videos on your screen. And it's time to just say hello to the team and just find out how they're doing. So I have joining me Emmanuel Nete and Free Bani. I'm going to do the interview with the two of them sitting down, just relaxed like this, so that when they're done, they can go and get the rest that they need before the game. Emmanuel, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good by God's grace.
Everything is fine?
Perfect.
Bani, how are you doing?
Yes, I'm good.
Everything is good? Yes. Yeah. Let me just find out from you, Emmanuel, how has it gone so far? I mean, in terms of being in the competition for the first time and seeing the way things have gone.
So far, I think it's been good. With our first game against Kamsa, we were able to overcome them by winning 2-0, and we are progressing. Now we have a much tougher opposition in WAC, but I think it's not too much of a hurdle to cross. We're going to do our best considering the training sections we've had, and with our technical team, I think everything is going the right way for us come Sunday. We are going to deliver.
Yeah. Bani, you had a fantastic season. The two of you had a great season in the Ghana Premier League and, of course, in the FA Cup. Have you forgotten all of that and your mind is straight on the job?
No, it's all on the job. Because what I did to gain that name last season, I think I need to do more. Because to have such a name, it's very easy, but to maintain it, it isn't easy. So I need to work extra and then maintain it or have more than what I had last season.
How did you see the first game? The first Champions League game, comes out. Did you see that?
Well, it was tough, but not too tough. It was God's grace, we were able to win and then we've progressed. So we are looking up on Sunday's game against WAC. I think that will be, as my brother said, tougher game. And then we also ready for them.
Good. Emmanuel, tell me, you've had quite a number of players joining you. Salim, Abu, Befi, plenty players, plenty. Suraj and co joining you. How's the camp like?
Yeah, this is one big family, the Phobian family. That player with love. We show them the norms, the do's and don'ts in camp, so it's easy for them to quickly settle in, and they are quality players who are going to add up to beef up the squad for the coming season. They are equally good players, and with their output on the field, we saw what Salim did when he came on against Kamsa. I believe that is the little we've seen about Salim. As a top quality player, we have the likes of Ushua, others joining us, and I believe they are a great addition to the squad. So with this current crop of players, I think once we keep our cool and our calm and we listen to our technical team, we have places to go.
Places to go. How's the camp been? I've been around.
We welcome that player with love. We show them the norms, the do's and don'ts in camp, so it's easy for them to quickly settle in, and they are quality players who are going to add up to beef up the squad for the coming season. They are equally good players, and with their output on the field, we saw what Salim did when he came on against Kamsa. I believe that is the little we've seen about Salim. As a top quality player, we have the likes of Ushua, others joining us, and I believe they are a great addition to the squad. So with this current crop of players, I think once we keep our cool and our calm and we listen to our technical team, we have places to go.
Places to go. How's the camp been? I've been around 1 or 2 training sessions. How is it feeling with all the new guys in there?
Yeah, as you can see, because we've been with us a couple of days, I'm training that. You can see they are working with our technical men, everything is, the morale and everything is high, so we are progressing.
Well, I'm sure you heard a lot about WAC. With the kind of record that they have and everything.
Yeah, we do. We know they've been consistent in the CAF Champions League.
Yeah.
So we are going out there with all guns blazing. Yeah, we know we've been out of the competition for God knows how long.
Yeah.
For years now, we are back. And we want to prove a point, not just to WAC, but the whole of Africa, that we didn't make the progression by fluke, but then by hard work on the field. So we are going to put everything together, brains, mind, bodies and soul together to face them come Sunday.
You know, against Kamsa, there were no fans in the stadium. It was like an empty stadium, and I don't know how that felt with no fans in the stadium for you when you guys were on the pitch. Did you feel the absence of the fans so much?
Somewhere I would say yes, somewhere too I would say no. Where I would say yes is, you see our fans, whenever they are with us, they cheer that up, and then the morale and everything comes up, and then somehow I would say no, because like you just said,
focus, the job is the job.
Yes, on the field of play that would determine, or that would show who's going to carry the day. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure you heard the news that CAF has allowed 2,000 fans into the stadium. What's the reaction to that?
I'm so happy with that news, and I believe our fans are going to be the 12th person on the field come Sunday, because with them on the field, we know it's a huge factor, it's a motivational factor for us. We really missed them in the game against Kamsa. Now we are going to have about 2,000 fans in the stadium, and I believe they are coming up there to cheer us up, and I believe their presence on the field that day is going to be another motivation for us to give them the much deserved win we need on Sunday.
Right. Banya, there have been some friendly games. I think the last friendly game scored 2 goals. You're in the groove. How have those friendly games felt?
It's all about preparing to face WAC. It's just a normal game. Even playing with WAC.
Banya, you are naturally a modest guy. You don't like to say a lot about yourself, is it? It's not a thing. You like to use the pitch to do the talking, basically. But you scored 2 goals, and you have been looking very good in the friendlies.
It's all about the hard work.
So you're ready to put in the hard work, and it's going to work out. Sure.
Since I've taken football as my profession, I need to always show it on the field of play for people to see that that's what I'm capable of doing.
Net to the friendlies?
Yeah, I've had quite some decent games, and I believe they are friendly matches. If you compare the friendly match and the Champions League, there's a huge difference.
Huge gap, yeah.
So with our training sections we've had, I believe we are well prepared for the game come Sunday. It's two different. This is a friendly game, and this is the competition itself. So we know it's going to be all different. So we have the mentality and the psyche all different to go into the game on Sunday.
Yeah, and you know, the fans, just on the fans bit again, that quite a number of the fans are expectant, and they are hoping that Accra Hartsville will get the job done. I mean, today I had a lot of them asking me, oh, where are the tickets? I want to get my tickets, I want to buy my ticket, I want to be there on Sunday. What would you tell the fans? I mean, what should they expect on Sunday?
The reason why they are asking of tickets and stuff is they've missed us, and we also missed them. They've missed us, seeing us on the field of play. And we also missed them in the stands cheering us up. So what I would tell them that they should keep on praying and support us, and they should come in numbers on Sunday. And I tell you, we are not going to disappoint them. We make them proud on Sunday.
Yeah. What are you telling the fans?
Yeah, they should troop to the stadium in their numbers. They did it for us in the just ended season, in the league matches, and we know their presence are going to be felt. We miss them. They are coming in their numbers, so we are assuring them we're going to do our possible best to come up with the maximum 3 points at the end of the game. Irrespective of the scoreline, we are assuring them we're going to come up with the 3 points.
And that's where we part company this beautiful Friday afternoon. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. You will get updates of all the developing stories. Up next is Let's Talk Showbiz. Enjoy the rest of our programs.